Well, thanks all of you for coming and braving the rain. I'm really thrilled to start my tour here in New York. My wonderful parents are here. I think they're the only New Yorkers who go to Florida to visit their grandchildren. Yeah. Well, I did. There are a lot of facts and figures and fun characters and colorful stories in this book, but I knew it was going to be controversial. It is basically a revisionist history of the Obama stimulus, and just about everybody hates the Obama stimulus. And sometimes it feels like Obama hates it too. He won't even say the word stimulus anymore. It's kind of hard to blame him. A year after it passed, the percentage of Americans who believed that the stimulus had created jobs was lower than the percentage of Americans who believed Elvis was alive. At one point, I tell a story about how Obama told his cabinet that the stimulus was the only thing less popular than he was. In any case, when you put the words change and Obama this close together, you're going to get yelled at. And the New Deal, right-wingers still don't accept the old New Deal, and left-wingers don't think this spineless sellout of a president is fit to share a book jacket with the New Deal. So I had a feeling some readers wouldn't even get past the first 4 words. And I was right. A few weeks ago, I got this Google alert that the New Deal was in the New Republic. I was really psyched because I've written a lot for that magazine. I've got a lot of friends there. I click on the link, and it's this blog post by a 23-year-old researcher who announces right away that he couldn't even make it to the first page. Sure enough, he couldn't get past the first 4 words. But not these first 4 words. I'll quote what he wrote. "It was so disturbing, so Washington, that I had to put the book down. Addressed to a woman that I can only assume is Grunwald's wife. It reads as follows: to Christina, my stimulus." This twit was trashing my dedication page. I don't think the terrorists who were trying to kill Salman Rushdie ever trashed his dedication page. It's like, so Washington, says this kid who lives in Washington. A woman I can only assume is Grunwald's wife. I can only assume you're single, dude. I'll read on. He says, "If Christina really is his stimulus, does that mean she prevented him from collapsing into an unprecedented depression? If we accept the Merriam-Webster definition of stimulus as something that rouses or incites to activity, Grunwald's note comes across as a strangely explicit display of wonky ribaldry." Yeah. Come visit us in South Beach, kid. We'll show you some wonky ribaldry. My stimulus is here tonight. Oh, wait, where'd she go? There she is. And Christina did prevent me from collapsing into a depression, as anybody who's ever written a book can empathize with. And she most definitely rouses to activity, even if it's like change that diaper. And yeah, Obama's stimulus did too. It was the $800 billion American Recovery and Reinvestment Act. He signed it less than a month after he took office. It may have become a national joke, but it really did prevent America from collapsing into a depression, and it really has roused all kinds of activity. It launched over 100,000 projects to upgrade roads, bridges, subways, sewer plants, military bases, fish hatcheries. I can go on all day. And it's transforming America's approach to energy, education, healthcare, transportation, and more. It's one of the most important and least understood pieces of legislation in modern American history, the short-term recovery part as well as the long-term reinvestment part. It's also the purest distillation of what Obama meant by change. It's a major down payment on all of his biggest campaign promises. And the story of the stimulus, it's not only, I think, a kind of fun and gripping story, but it's a microcosm of the Obama era. It's the best way to understand the president, his policies, his approach to politics, his achievements, and his troubles marketing those achievements in a city that's gone bonkers. It's also the best way to understand his enemies. This book documents the Republican plot to destroy Obama before he even took office, right? You always heard about it and imagined it must be there, but I actually got some of these guys to tell me about it. These secret meetings where Eric Cantor and Mitch McConnell planned their path back to power. So before I open this up to whatever you want to talk about, I'm going to talk a little bit about the stimulus because it really is a new deal. And then a bit about Obama because I think there's both more and less to him than meets the eye. You know, I spent 9 years as a reporter at the Washington Post before I escaped the Beltway with my Florida girl. So government is not a new topic for me. But I do not think I could have written this book if I still lived in Washington. The groupthink is just too strong. And it is almost impossible to overstate the power of the DC conventional wisdom that the stimulus was a ludicrous failure. I mean, it's just totally uncool to talk about it without rolling your eyes and making, little ironic comments. Ha 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 ha, you totally stimulated the economy when you gave that panhandler $1. Even Obama joked after his annual Thanksgiving pardon that he had just saved or created 4 turkeys. But my friends here, they know that I do have a contrarian streak. I don't really do groupthink. I'm the guy who visited the Gulf after the BP spill and wrote that the environmental damage was being wildly overstated. And I was right. I had data. But arguing that the stimulus was a new deal, that wasn't just considered contrarian. It was considered delusional. It was like arguing the BP spill didn't happen. I mean, we can discuss why. It's a combination of relentless Republican distortion, incompetent White House communications, brain-dead media coverage, really the unfortunate timing of a jobs bill that passed when the U.S. was hemorrhaging 800,000 jobs a month. The financial earthquake had hit, but the economic tsunami hadn't really hit the shore. Fortunately, in 2010, I was 1,000 miles away, and I was pretty oblivious to the prevailing stimulus narrative. But I did become aware, because I write a lot about the environment, that the stimulus included $90 billion for clean energy, which was leveraging another $100 billion in private capital. I mean, those seemed like typos. I mean, the United States was spending maybe $2 or $3 billion a year on clean energy before the Recovery Act. In 1999, Washington completely mocked President Clinton's pie-in-the-sky plan to spend $6 billion over 5 years for clean energy. It was dead on arrival in Congress. And Obama got $90 billion in his first month, like before his staff could even find the bathrooms in the West Wing. It's just ridiculous. And the stimulus was pouring unprecedented rivers of cash into wind, solar, and other renewables, energy efficiency in every imaginable form, advanced biofuels, electric vehicles, cutting-edge research, a smarter grid, cleaner coal, and factories to make all that green stuff in the United States. I mean, it was by far the biggest energy bill in history. So it kind of got me curious about what else was in this stimulus that everybody was laughing about. So I remember I did some dogged investigative reporting. It was a Google search. And I learned that the stimulus had also launched Race to the Top, which was a real aha moment. Have you guys heard of Race to the Top? Right? Yeah, I mean, I had heard about it. I knew that it was this huge deal in the education reform world, that it was supposed to entirely transform public schools, but I had no idea it was a stimulus program. Did any of you?
No, I had no idea.
Yeah, there you go. Anyway, it became clear that there was this huge story hidden in plain view. And most of the stimulus was just standard Keynesian stimulus, pumping money into the economy when the private economy had gone into hiding, trying to generate demand through tax cuts for 95% of the workforce, gigantic checks to states to prevent massive layoffs of teachers and cops, aids to victims of the Great Recession, and basic infrastructure projects. But then you start to look, and it also has $27 billion with a B to computerize our pen and paper healthcare system so that your doctor doesn't kill you with his chicken scratch handwriting. It authorized a new high-speed rail network, the biggest transportation initiative since the interstate highways. It extended our existing high-speed internet network to underserved communities, sort of a modern twist on the New Deal's rural electrification program. It included America's biggest push into industrial policy since FDR, the biggest infusion of research money ever. It modernized unemployment insurance, which hadn't really changed since the New Deal. And it launched new approaches to preventing homelessness, financing public works, overseeing government spending.